There's a bond between people and animals. Almost any pet owner can tell you about it. It's more than a psychological thing, too. It shows up in physical ways. A few years ago, a group of researchers in California discovered that people's blood pressure significantly changed in the presence of animals. But the healing effect of animals has been known for a long time. The ancient Greeks thought a dog's tongue had healing qualities, and dogs were used to lick patients to help them heal faster. The Roman wise man Pliny figured stomach pains could be relieved by transferring them to a pup, and he recommended that women with stomach pain get a lap dog. In early times, too, people who were thought to be going insane were given a dog to carry around with them. Then there was the York Retreat in England in the 1700s, established by the Society of Friends, also known as Quakers, to house people with mental problems. The lunatic asylums in those days were horrible places to go, and if people weren't emotional wrecks before they got there, they certainly were after. The treatment at the York Retreat was based on Christianity and common sense. It was assumed that if people were treated with kindness and understanding, they would respond favorably. The retreat also had a number of small animals, rabbits, chickens, and so forth, for the patients to look after. Well, the retreat was a great success, and the animals were an important part of the treatment. But the bond between people and animals can be good for animals, too. In fact, if researchers pay too much attention to their research animals, it can affect some research results. In the early 1920s, some experiments were done with white rats on the effects of removing their thyroid and parathyroid glands. Now, removing these glands is a major assault on the body, and normally pretty well all the rats would be expected to die. But in this experiment, the rats came from two different groups. Some from a group that got normal laboratory care. They only had human contact when their cages were cleaned or they were fed. And some from a group that had been talked to, petted, and gentled over 5 generations. These animals were not easily frightened, and they were relaxed when being handled. When the two groups were operated on, almost 80% from the first group died, but less than 15% from the second group, the rats that had been handled and talked to, died. Other research shows similar results. When rabbits fed a high cholesterol diet were held, petted, played with, and talked to, they had 60% fewer lesions on their major arteries than a group that got no attention. Maybe if us humans talked to and petted each other a little more, we'd have fewer heart problems, too. Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that research in the United States and Australia shows that people in hospitals and nursing homes recover faster and feel happier when they're allowed to keep pets or even just have animals visit them. A hospital in Australia, for example, brought a Labrador retriever to spend its time on 2 long-term care wards. The average age of the patients on these wards was 80 years. They were frail, uncommunicative, and didn't really have much interest in life. Within 6 months of the dog coming to live there, the patients felt better emotionally, were more physically active, and had a greater joy in living. Of course, the hospital administration had all kinds of worries about the problems the dog would cause before it came, it being a dirty animal and all, but not one of the expected problems actually developed. In fact, it gave the staff something to talk about with the patients, so improved the situation that way too. An international organization called the Delta Society was formed a few years ago to help foster the human-animal relationship, especially where people need healing. Well, I think that's a step in the right direction. I suppose it's necessary to kill and maim at least some animals for research in human medicine, but I think it's good to use live animals to help with a little healing too. I'm Noel McNaughton.